right. And there's nothing to report in closed session. Adjustments to the agenda.
Yes, I'd like to request that we pull item 11.1.g, which is the HUSD ELD program. My rationale is that we'll be having a full single board meeting on this in the next 4, hopefully, if not 4, then 6 weeks. We'll dig into depth in this area, and I think at this point it would just be repeating, and we'd be left kind of hanging. So, with the board's indulgence, I would ask that we pull that agenda item.
And Mike, you're referring to a study session
That is correct.
that will be open to the public?
Absolutely.
Okay. And do we need a vote on that? No. Okay. All right. And we also are pulling item 11.1H, the WASP report, that will be given in the future. All right. Pledge of Allegiance. Trustee McAllister, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Oh. You prepared?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have celebrating our successes, 8.1 Healdsburg High School Visual Arts Program.
Hello, Board of Trustees. I like to say we are very well represented tonight with the high school. Many of our teachers are here, very exciting. And I would also first like to begin by saying what an honor it is to be the leader of Healdsburg High School. With that said, I would like to invite up our amazing art teacher, Mr. Linus Lancaster.
Hello, everybody. Hi, can you hear me? Sounds like it. I'm used to shouting through this at full voice all day long. Let me make sure I've got my slide clicker working. Here we go. Okay, so nice coincidence tonight as Annie Peterson is being sworn in as the student trustee. I'm sure that you've heard a lot about her accomplishments, but you may not be aware that she is also my star 3D AP student doing ceramics and fashion design. This is a wool coat that she made by hand, and there are many others that she's done as well. So if you didn't already know that additionally amazing feature about her, here it is. So I'm mostly here to talk about some of our side projects and our specialized things, which are really what make us special, I believe, and keep us on the map periodically. But there are also the day-to-day routines that we do of going through the elements and principles of design. And that's what these are the examples that you're seeing up here. So right now we're working on dark and light value, which is what gives a painting, an image, a photograph, its visual strength, which is the contrast between darks and lights. So as we're working with charcoal, instead of just buying charcoal from the store, although we do that also, if we can make our own and make the whole project a little bit more integrated, it makes it, I think, more valuable and a richer experience for the students. So as charcoal is really just burned wood, and as we are burning things to use them as art materials, of course, it provides an excuse to bring in some marshmallows. But rather than just roasting them and eating them, we're also making art out of them and using lighting techniques and talking about dark and light value. So for example, chiaroscuro, which is a fancy Italian way of saying dark, you can take that visual technique and take something as mundane as a marshmallow sculpture and make it look really dramatic and heroic just by lighting it appropriately. Then we photograph those, and the students take their photographs, transfer those onto a piece of paper, draw over the lines, take the charcoal that we just made in the fire, rub it on there as a tone ground, it's called, and then they subtract out the lights by erasing them and add the darks back in with a pencil. Moving on from there to bolder, more intense work with the charcoal, using compressed charcoal, which is quite a bit darker, and you smear down a field of solid black on the paper take a photograph, put white chalk on the back, transfer a white line drawing into it, and erase out the entire thing. It's called subtractive painting, basically painting with an eraser. It gives you very bold, very striking images, and it's a more controlled, easier way to work than the additive technique, which is traditional of starting with a drawing and just adding, charcoal or pastel on top of it. These are beginning students. These are not advanced students. They're freshmen in beginning art. And yes, they are among the first that finished this assignment, which means they're probably fairly skilled and have more experience. But as you can see, they're pretty amazing images, and these are not advanced artists. These are people who are beginning. Let's see. Some years ago, I had heard about a whale that was buried at Stinson Beach, and I thought, wouldn't it be an amazing blend of performance art and science if we could go dig it up and bring some of it home? And so we applied to the Golden Gate National Recreation Area to do that. We were told that it's been under the sand for too long. It's moved around too much. Even ground penetrating radar doesn't do any good on the beach. But they kept our name in the loop, and about a year later, we got a call from the Academy of Sciences saying, hey, we've got a sperm whale mandible that's been buried next to the Point Reyes Ranger Station. It's been under there for 4 years, which is enough time to clean it. You guys want it? And of course we did. And so we went down there with a representative from Sonoma State Archaeology and from the Academy of Sciences, dug up the sperm whale mandible, brought it back to the high school, and had it for a while. They wouldn't let us keep the teeth because that's where all the scientific information was, but we wanted to photograph this to use that file for 3D printing, and with all the teeth out of it, it wasn't nearly as exciting looking. So my ceramics classes made falsies for it, and then my photography classes photographed it extensively, and we used those to do stitch files for photogrammetry, which then in turn you can 3D print it. We've stayed in touch with the Academy of Sciences because we're useful to them. The Academy of Sciences and the Park Services don't agree with each other. When you have a whale wash ashore, the Park Service wants to tow it away right now, and the Academy of Sciences wants to keep it for an autopsy. If an educational institution steps in, there's a law that says the Park Service has to work with us. And so we buy the Academy of Sciences a few days to do their autopsy, and whether or not we get any of the animal. So we did give this mandible back, but we had it here for a couple of weeks. This summer, I got another call from the Academy of Sciences that there was a gray whale that washed ashore in Richmond, and they said, we already have enough gray whale skeletons. We don't need it. Do you guys want it? We said yes, of course. And so this was when summer school was still going on. We put together a field trip with Tor Top, Chuck Pearson, the summer school students, and also Raul Bonilla from the maintenance department, and went down there and collected these bones. We brought the spinal column that you see, we brought it back to the Healdsburg High campus. It's now buried in our garden, and it's a registered collection with NOAA. Right now. So we're going to use it to study the impact on soil microbes, and then after a few years, we'll dig it up again when it's clean and use it for something else. I'm working on getting it 3D printed again so that little replicas can be given to each of the students who participated. Right now, there's a show up that's been running for, the project has been running for 2 years. It's impacted over 400 students, both at the junior high and at the high school, called the Hopeful Monsters Project. And this was something that we came up with, we heard about it in a different version, and we modified it and expanded upon it a great deal to deal with trauma-informed teaching and to try to address what can art education and art practice do to look at the deficit of empathy and compassion that we have in our society and some of its impacts that we see on our students every day. And one of the things that came out of our discussions with the students is that if a person is wrapped up with their own pain and suffering to too great a degree, it makes it hard to sympathize with what somebody else is going through. Whereas if you participate in a project where you can see other people working out their own issues, that it kind of shows a universality to some of these things. Each student was asked to identify a personal trait that they found problematic, or it could even be an external stressor, and to personify it as a small stitched figure. And They were working shoulder to shoulder in the classroom, and then during lockdown, we had to send home the sewing kits and the materials to get them to do it there and then send those back to us. As they saw each other work, there were a lot of revelations about what some of the people are dealing with and that everyone is dealing with something. We showed them ways to veil their issue so that they did not have to out themselves. If you had somebody who was struggling with depression, for example, and you didn't want your classmates to see it, you're not going to do a dark little storm cloud. You could use a chain of associations and say, all right, well, what do you associate with rain, with a cloud? Rain, it makes puddles on the asphalt. What do you associate with asphalt? Cars. You could make a car and nobody else in the room is going to know that that represents the depression that you're struggling with, but you as the artist do. And if you want to share that with people, you can. And if not, it remains hidden. This show is still up in the Purity Warehouse right across the street. There are 200 pieces there. It's been up since May. It's coming down next week. So if you haven't seen it yet and would like to, it's open by appointment if you want to come and see it. Here are some of the closer figures that are in there. Again, there are 200 of these, but there have been over 400 made. This project was presented at the California Arts Education Association conference in Anaheim about a week ago, and it was also presented at an international conference in Sydney, Australia. In Anaheim, I only had about 8 people in the audience, but in Sydney it was over 200. And so we're hoping that other educators find out about this project and will take it and run with it in whatever way is useful to them. We got a one-page written statement from every student who participated, so we saw the backstory on every one of these sculptures. Some of them were hilarious, some of them were heart-wrenching, everything in between, surprisingly raw, and on an encouraging level, very honest with us, that they were willing to tell us what was really going on. We promised to keep things anonymous, of course, but we really heard what was really happening in the lives of a lot of students. And one of the things that was encouraging about this is that we did hear anecdotal statements from the students saying that this helped them realize that other people around them were going through some of the same things that they were, or even different things, but that everyone is dealing with something, and it helped them kind of reflect on the fact that that we're all in this together and that everyone has their issues and burdens to bear. By bringing them out into the light of day, we hope to look at them from a fresh perspective, perhaps find that they're not so scary and problematic after all. Maybe it's a superpower in disguise. And even if it turns out to be something insurmountably horrible, at least by starting the process of unpacking it, perhaps better understanding it may help one along in one's struggles with whatever it was that they were representing. This is the
Lance,
second...
excuse me, I just want to interrupt you. I encourage everybody to go see the monsters. Everybody should see them.
Thank you. This year was the second annual Scarecrow Festival. Last year we did this and raised $2,500 for yourtinyfarm.org. This year the recipient was the Healdsburg Center for the Arts. We didn't raise as much money, but it was still successful. Perhaps you saw the scarecrows out around town. And so this was a project that all of my ceramic students participated in. And they came up with some really wonderful stuff, as you can see. This one was for the, I made this one for the fire department, and they really liked it, but somebody else got to it before they did on the auction site. So it's leading to a new project in collaboration with them that I'll talk about right at the end. One of the things that we're beginning to do more with Healdsburg Center for the Arts is to bring in free classes for members of the community, but these also are open to my students as well. It's been my dream for years to get more interactive art and more science into the gallery scene in Healdsburg, and so this is a way to do it. We started off with these simple foxhole radios. There's an antenna stretched across the tennis courts by my classroom at school that works with these. And so I do have some of my students building these radios. The particular workshops that we started with were younger kids, but it's open to anyone in the district free of charge. We're trying to finance these with fundraising instead of tuition. RESIG will not let me do rockets on campus as of yet. However, there are districts around the public school districts around the country that do rocketry, so it can be done. It's just a slow process of getting them on your side, but it'll happen. And that was it. So I met with the fire marshal and the fire chief today and had a conversation about a more permanent installation at the firehouse. And they seem to like the idea. And so my students and I are beginning some planning drawings for what it will be. We want it to be interactive. We want it to be have changeable components so it doesn't get old and tired, that it could change with the seasons or morph and evolve. And for us, this would be our first permanent sculptural installation. We've done a lot in the past, but they've usually always been temporary. So this is kind of a new avenue for us, and we're hoping that it's a success and that that in its wake that these will begin to pop up around town. The direction that I want my department to go in from this point forward is to be more and more connected to the community, more and more off campus, and interacting with different organizations. We've already got our start with the Academy of Sciences and other organizations like this, but we would like to be a bigger presence in the community in the near future. And our work with the Healdsburg Center for the Arts is part of that, but also reaching out individually to organizations such as the fire department, the post office, and things like that, and beginning to get our 3D work out there in public is a big part of what we're beginning to do more of. So thank you very much. I appreciate your listening. And if you do want to walk across the street and have a look at the Hopeful Monsters, just send me an email, please, and I'll open it up for you anytime. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to say, Mr. Lancaster, that it's super impressive, the depth and breadth of all the learning opportunities that you're providing our students. So thank you for that. That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, and I second Trustee Potmissle's comments. If you haven't seen the exhibit, go. It's moving and profound and very, very hopeful, which is fantastic. So thank you.
Okay, so moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. The public may address the board on any consent action item or item not listed on the agenda. Pursuant to the Brown Act, during this period, the board cannot consider issues or take action on any item not listed on the agenda, and time is limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any public comments? Okay, moving on to the approval of the consent agenda.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
And before we do that, I do want to thank Cindy Beth for organizing the donations for the t-shirts to honor Patrick McDowell. And I want to thank everybody that contributed to that and all of our other donations. Thank you all for all of those donations that you provided and for honoring Mr. McDowell in that manner. Thank you. Okay, sorry. So we did, Trustee Del Rey, motion to approve?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to public comments on agenda items. Members of the public have the right to address the governing board on any item of interest, providing it relates to the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Your request to address the board will be heard at the time of the item is being discussed. In accordance with Board Policy 9323, individual speakers shall be allowed a total of 3 minutes to address the board for a maximum of 20 minutes on each subject matter. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation depending on the topic and the number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask that additional person speaks only if they have something new to add. So discussion, report action items 11.1, student learning, equity, and school culture. We're going to be 11.1A, swearing in of our new Healdsburg High School student trustee. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations and welcome.
Okay. So 11.1B, Student Board Member Motions, Resolution Number 22.
I move acceptance of this motion, Student Board Member, Resolution Number 2207.
I'll second.
Okay, this is a resolution. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Yay. Queremos recordarle a la audiencia que por favor escojan en la pantalla el globo si necesitan que les traduzcan la presentación en Zoom. Entonces hay un globo abajo de la pantalla, por favor escoja eso y seleccione español para que pueda oír la junta en español. Gracias. Okay, so moving on to Ethnic Studies update.
Good evening. I'm super excited to be here tonight to be talking about this topic. Probably one of the more important topics of our time, honestly. As it says in the cover sheet for this item, equity has been a central component of our work as a district for the last couple of years. We've gotten some help from the Costa Educational Partnership, Corazon Healdsburg, other partners, and as you can see tonight, a room full of teachers who have been engaging in this work and are going to help give some life to this presentation. The California Department of Education improved the ethnic studies model curriculum in March of 2021. This has been anticipated for many years. It's gone through many revisions and vetting opportunities. We're excited that we have a model curriculum. I have it sitting over there. It's about this thick when it's printed out. Gives us lots of good guidance and ideas. So what we're going to do in this presentation is kind of give a bit of an overview. And then after this, we're going to talk about a new ethnic studies course that we're proposing to start for next year. So I'm going to start as we do many of our trainings. And I'm going to ask one of our teachers here. Important part of this is understanding both our past and our present. And so Joanna Polisari, who's a 7th grade science teacher at Healdsburg Junior High, is going to read our Indigenous Land Acknowledgement and Vision from the County of Sonoma.
Good evening, and thank you for having us here tonight. So this land acknowledgement we use at the beginning of each of our ethnic studies courses that we take just to acknowledge the people who have lived on this land before we have. The County of Sonoma recognizes that we are on the ancestral lands of the Coast Miwok, Pomo, and Wapo, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous peoples who have been stewarding and maintaining relationships on this land as knowledge keepers for millennia. The County of Sonoma is dedicated to understanding and educating the public about historical and ongoing connections between land conservation and social inequities. This includes the histories of genocide, forced removal and displacement, and broken promises with indigenous peoples as a part of American history. Indigenous people are not just in our histories. We strive to optimize indigenous voices to share their own history, as to not perpetuate another form of being silenced. While recognizing the past, we honor the resiliency of the Native people still in their ancestral territories in relationship with their land and culture.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. So Joanna's been participating. She's new on staff this year, first-year teacher, science teacher. It's nice to see. And the intention in our work has been that this is not just about history teachers, English teachers, but this is a K-12 and multidisciplinary effort. So I'm going to let you all read. This is also up, so I'll give a minute to what is ethnic studies. This is the definition that comes from the model studies curriculum. So some important words for us is that ethnic studies encompasses not only what we normally think of as ethnicity, race, but also gender, sexuality, class, and nation. Another important word that I want to put out there is humanizing, that this is about human beings, and this is about humanizing how we interact with each other, how we understand our history and look forward. So we've been working in close partnership with Acosta Educational Partnership, seen as definitely one of the leaders. Dr. Acosta won a Supreme Court decision and the right to teach ethnic studies in the state of Arizona. He's been through this as a teacher in the K-12 classrooms and now as a professor of education at the University of Arizona. His colleague, Carlos Hagedorn, who I think is watching on Facebook, he's driving right now. So hopefully he's not watching too much and more listening, Carlos, if you're out there. Want to recognize Carlos Hagedorn and the work that he is doing with all of us as we venture into this. And this is a really foundational piece of the training and the understanding that we're doing as educators. So I wanted to put that in there. So why ethnic studies in HUSD? We serve a majority, quote, minority population of Latinx students. We have opportunity gaps in Healdsburg, and part of addressing the opportunity gaps, what the research shows us is that we need to speak openly about marginalization. We need to speak openly about histories that have not been represented in our classrooms. So, third bullet, too often when students of color see their stories in the standard curriculum, they only see stories of oppression. So this gives us an opportunity at all different levels from, we've got second grade, Magyakala here tonight, up through high school. It will hopefully be, well, not hopefully, it will be a required course, and everything in between. So I'm going to try to move quickly here because I want to make sure we have time for the teachers to speak. A little historical perspective. I don't need to go through every bullet, but those of you who, most of you who've been here involved in this, you've seen the changes back in 2018-19, over a year-long effort of equity task force. Real important to listen to our families and listen to our community and hear their perspectives and understand how they have experienced our educational system, how they experience their community as residents of Healdsburg, and kind of what they want for the future for their kids and for their community. And so we've made some significant changes. Skipping down to the last bullet, you all approved as the board a new vision and I'm calling values statement, equity board policy, and an anti-racism board policy, which also puts into policy. As we all know, we'll be working on administrative regulations. We'll be working on how do we measure ourselves, right? How do we make good on what is in the board policies and in our new mission and vision? So we've, so far, it's a 3-year plan. So this was last year. We call it the distance learning school year. All these teachers here, for the most part, started their training with Dr. Acosta and Carlos Hagedorn. A few teachers have joined us this year, Joanna being one of them, Maggie being another. You all have engaged in a series of workshops, and we have more planned, probably starting in February, hopefully, if we can get that scheduled for you all. Really deepening the collaboration and conversations between HUSD and Corazon Healdsburg leadership. It's been an important part of this work. I've got a slide towards the end. Corazon Healdsburg has raised the funds to pay for our partnership with Acosta Educational Partnership. So, finances speak louder than most things, right? And that they are putting money where their mouth is to support this work within the school district, I think is a really important piece that needs to be recognized. AEP also engaged with Marcy Becerra students last year via Zoom, did a series of workshops with both the teachers and the students. So this year, we are continuing, as Joanna mentioned, the Ethnic Studies Institutes and workshops. We meet 1 to 2 times a month after they've taught a full day. So after working a full day and sometimes more because they're period subbing and helping each other out, they log on to a Zoom from about 3:30 to 5:30 at least once or twice a week. We have a youth cohort that's starting. So Carlos met with the Ethnic Studies Club last week, continuing a conversation with MBA students, and we hope that as this lifts and more kids understand that we'll get a larger youth a cohort going. So that work is just starting now. We've developed the ethnic studies course for all ninth graders that you're going to hear about tonight, and we are digging back into the adoption of elementary history social science curriculum, and this information is guiding what that curriculum that we will use in our elementary classrooms looks like. So just in October of 2021, so just last month, the governor signed AB 101, making California the first state to require all students to complete at least a semester-long course in ethnic studies to earn their diploma. This has put California on the map, a big commitment from the state level. Courses have to be aligned to this ethnic studies model curriculum, but like I said, it's a big document, and it's not prescriptive. There's models there of different types of courses, lengths of courses, and so there's an intention that each individual district, as you will tonight, will adopt a course that fits into how it's going to work in your school district, highlighting various aspects of your community. So real quickly, the ethnic studies teaching model, again, this is work of Acosta Educational Partnership, and this is what we're centering much of our work on, and that it's not just about curriculum, but about knowledge of development and self. I'll speak for me, is that I've learned a lot about myself and kind of how I interact as an educator. And just like we were talking about, everybody should go see Hopeful Monsters. I think everybody should engage in some ethnic studies work and do some critical self-reflection of who they are as a neighbor, who they are as a parent, and for us, who we are as educators. So thinking about next year and kind of forecasting, we hope to begin the required ethnic studies course, expand professional development opportunities to all HUSD staff. Subs are an issue, so we're among the ready and willing here, and people working a full day plus. We hope to do more professional development on a wider scale next year and just keep kind of growing the number of people and the depth of knowledge within our district. You've got your early adopters, a lot of them here in the room tonight. And so, leveraging their knowledge as teacher leaders, it's important that, this not just be something that Carlos and Curtis help us with, but we use our own in-house knowledge, and that the teachers who are getting this early training and or have some experience from other districts. We have another teacher in the house tonight who has received ethnic studies training in a prior teaching position. So leveraging the knowledge of our teachers who've been through training and having them be part of the teacher leadership and change agents that bring this forward. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to invite our teachers who are here and have spent their evening with us to come on up to the podium. So power in numbers, don't be afraid. Come on up. We'll all get up here together. Yeah, Maggie and Helen, do you want to start us off? Is that okay? With the In Lakesh? And if you wanted to, Maggie, did you want to say a few things? Oh, you want to end? So why don't you start? Okay. And then, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I want to go ahead and introduce myself because this is my first time talking at a school board meeting. So my name is Margarita Alcalá, and I'm a first-generation college graduate and teacher in my family. I currently teach second grade at HES and have taught at HUSD for about 25 years. This is my first year being part of the Ethnic Studies Institute, and I'm thrilled to be part of the community cultural wealth conversation. I'm envisioning classrooms at all grade levels that will embrace our community's differences by investing time to learn about each other's aspirational, linguistic, familial, ancestral, and ecological wealths, to mention a few, because those are a few. Sharing our stories will hopefully break down barriers, stereotypes, and build more empathy among our students and staff. In second grade, we're completing a Community Counts project-based learning social studies unit, and we're touching the surface on learning about Healdsburg history, family, culture, ancestors, and immigration. But I'm excited to dig deeper into our curriculum and revisit our lessons to include more about the native peoples of Healdsburg and explore more about our family's culture. So investing time on developing ethnic studies lessons will help students form their own identity, learn about their own culture and those of others. I'd like to end with a Mayan philosophy poem, but I think we're going to wait because I want to end it with that.
Okay, perfect.
Sure.
Perfect. Yeah. Anybody else want to say a few words? Yep.
Hi, I'm Joanna again. Hello. I'm teaching 6th and 7th grade science, and this is my first year teaching, so I'm very happy to be in the Healdsburg community. I think what got me really interested in joining ethnic studies was just the fact that I'm a woman in science, and that's not represented a lot in figures that we see, especially high up in science. And I think a lot of what I've learned in this program so far is that we can take that and show our students that they're valued and they are represented in our classes as well. So my goal in, I guess, going through these ethnic studies courses and learning about the community and the cultural wealth model is that I'm going to be able to show my students that they belong in science and that they're represented in science. So that's my big goal for this, and I'm excited to continue working towards it.
Hi there. I'm Thomas Worf. I teach U.S. History, AP Human Geography at the high school, and I am the Ethnic Studies Club advisor. So I started doing the institute at the beginning, and I just kind of echo what Aaron said about it, that it's important to do that self-reflection. And it's been honestly a pleasure, 3:30 to 5:30, once or twice a month, to have really hard conversations, to say things and reflect and go, why do I think that? Why do we teach that way? What is going on in our society? Each one is like really stimulating, and yeah, it's been a big shift in my mind and teaching as I've reflected more and more at those institutes. So it's been great, and I'm really excited to be here to talk about the course too.
Just very briefly, I'm an educator. I'm also a parent. My kids are 20 and 18. And my 20-year-old, actually both of them went through an ethnic studies program through the San Mateo Union High School District. But my 20-year-old, who is queer and transgender, and I constantly talk about it, and for that kid, that was the most important class they have ever taken anywhere.
Okay, so we like to end with a Mayan philosophy poem that we read at the beginning of each ethnic studies meeting. So this poem, I feel, humanizes our community. I'm going to read the Spanish part and you'll read the English. Tú eres mi otro.
You are my other me.
Si te hago daño a ti,
if I do harm to you,
me hago daño a mí mismo.
I do harm to myself.
Si te amo y respeto,
if I love and respect you,
me amo y respeto yo.
I love and respect myself. By Luis Valdez.
Thank you all. We also have Kelly Mace, a high school counselor here, and Sharon Pollock, who are going to be, Sharon's going to be speaking about the new freshman Compass class in just a minute. So just thank you guys for being here. Thank you for participating and doing this hard work during a pandemic, through Zoom, this training. We're doing a little bit in person here and there. We're kind of hybrid this year, so a lot of Zoom and then a couple in-person sessions here and there. So any questions or comments from the board? This is not about the course. This is just kind of about the broader work.
Just kudos to you, Aaron, and to the district in general, and also Corazon Healdsburg for being so proactive with this. I mean, we're 7 years ahead of the game. The state is asking us to do this in 2029, 30, and because of your efforts and your work, all of you, we're going to be rolling this out next year, which is super exciting. Once we hear about the course, of course, but just want to thank you for your leadership.
Yeah, absolutely, and thanks for the guidance to let us do this and make this work.
I also wanted to comment, thank you again to the 22 teachers who participated and who continue to participate in this program. We participated at School Board 2. Corazon is continuing a partnership with Acosta 2. But I think it's really important to note that Curtis program back in Arizona was not successful. It was banned. It was banned in Arizona, right? They banned books. They banned this program. Carlos's program in Napa was also, they let go of this program, right? The Legacy Youth Project, which targeted students of color who were falling through the cracks, and this program was let go. And I think it's really important because we owe it not only to the students, but we also owe it to Carlos and Curtis who continue this work every single day. So I just wanted to really emphasize that this program is no longer existent in Arizona and it's no longer existent in Napa. I think that all the work that we do should be done through a lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, whether that's science, like it was mentioned, whether that's math, whether that's English, art. So I'm really appreciative of everything that HUSD has done to make this a successful program for our teachers. And I'm even more thankful for all the teachers who volunteered their time to be part of this program, this learning experience, and now taking that into the classroom and sharing what they've learned with the students. And thank you.
I just echo the comments of my fellow trustees and also want to thank the teachers. And I'm thrilled to see that this is not, I mean, we're going to talk about an ethnic studies course in a minute, but it's not just about the high school. This is district-wide, and I thank you for that.
Great, thank you. And I know there are some teachers that have agenda items yet to go, but if you're not involved in that and you want to get home, feel free to depart as you feel comfortable. So yeah, the next agenda item, if you want to bring us forward.
Sure. So Healdsburg High School Ethnic Studies course for 2022-2023. This is a discussion item.
Yeah, so we're going to discuss a bunch of new and revised courses here. I'm going to turn this over to Principal Amy Jones-Kerr and the teachers. And again, this is, I get to be the idea and, the making sure things happen and making sure forms get filled out. Teachers love it when I give them forms. But what you're going to hear from is the practitioners and the teachers who put their blood, sweat, tears, heart into this every single day with our kids to make sure that we have the highest quality education. So I'm going to turn this over to Principal Jones-Kerr, and she's going to invite our teachers. We're going to start, as we said, with a new ethnic studies course that we're proposing. This is a first reading tonight, so we will have time to reflect on this. You're not being asked to approve any of these courses tonight. First reading, and then ideally, if it pleases the board, we would bring this back for approval in the next meeting. So that's how this goes, and just to make sure the public understands that as well. So please, Principal Kerr.
Thank you, Erin. I too would like to appreciate your leadership in bringing us to where we are today. I am not the author of this wonderful course description that was written. We have two teachers that have put their heart and soul into this course description they have brought forward today to present to you. So it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Thomas Worf and Sharon Pollock up to the front. Thank you.
Hello again. To give a little background, and we'll kind of go back and forth, this kind of started, the Ethnic Studies Club that we started at the high school was based on a lot of student interest. In my U.S. history classes, I talked about it with a few students, made a poll. And so after that poll, with a ton of interest and engagement, we started kind of talking about what to do. The reason why we wrote a course, or why we pushed to do it for next year, is because there's a lot of interest. And so the course that we wrote takes the old freshman seminar, has changed the name to Freshman Compass. And the second semester is the Ethnic Studies course. The Ethnic Studies course is written to be engaging for students who are whose stories aren't always told in typical class. Though we'll try in U.S. history and in English classes that we teach. We wrote the course to be a survey of different marginalized groups in the United States, and to give students an opportunity to explore their own identity and do projects to both further explore their identity and get involved in the community. So that's sort of a relatively quick description of the second semester. The first semester will be Freshman Compass, and or do we want to? Or I can. Go ahead.
You can see we missed our dress rehearsal for all this. Had a couple other things going on. So as it's probably worth, and those of you who are following along on Zoom or listening on Facebook Live, in the packet are the full course outlines for these. With that are the cover sheets. And the cover sheet for Freshman Compass explains that for many, many years, 6-7 years, we've had a freshman seminar course, a year-long course. It's had its ups and downs. It's had its bright spots. We have not had a freshman seminar course for the last 2 years through the pandemic. We've tried to minimize the required courses while kids were online. And a lot of what happens in the freshman seminar course, and you'll see is going to happen in Freshman Compass, is building of community, is kids getting to know the campus, getting to know the adults that work there, their counselors like Kelly Mace, the other support staff, in a really kind of low stress environment, I guess is what I would call it, getting to know each other, building community, and starting to think about goal setting, right? What is their plan for high school and the couple of years after high school, and how are they going to get there? So when we knew that ethnic studies was going to be coming down the pike and that it was probably going to be a semester course, we knew we needed to do something to improve the freshman experience. And so these two amazing minds came up with this, a new name, but you'll see in the course kind of a new life. And it's worth, I think, looking at the course outline and understanding the care that they're taking here as educators to prepare students to be successful in the ethnic studies course in the second semester. So Freshman Compass, all students would begin their 9th grade year with, career exploration, understanding A to G requirements, but also doing that foundational work on personal identity, race, ethnicity, gender, and sexuality, kind of as an into, and doing a little bit of weaving into the ethnic studies course. So Sharon is the department chair for the seminar courses. Again, we have 11th grade seminar working really good under her leadership. She's done amazing things to make that 11th grade seminar something that kids, I think, look forward to, not only for the internship, but the college application process and all the other goal setting that they do. So you're the visionary, and I think, I'm sure has some things to say about the course.
I think this is a different item on the agenda, so I just want to make sure that we're okay to do that because these two courses actually go together. And this course was kind of born out of a conversation that I had with freshman seminar teachers before the pandemic, right before the pandemic, where we discussed what we thought was working and what maybe wasn't working so well with freshman seminar. It was also designed with the original course outline in mind. And so I actually sent an email to Erin that kind of shows the parallels between the old freshman seminar course and this particular course. If you're interested, she has information on that. But the one thing that, for whatever reason, our staff was hung up on is the name freshman seminar. It just didn't seem to fit. And so as I was thinking, what is it that we're really doing in the seminar course? The words of orientation came to me, the words of direction came to me. And then I kind of started researching the kind of compass rose came to my head. And it turns out that with many different cultures, including indigenous cultures, the compass is a very important symbolic part of what they believe in. And so the way that this course is designed is around that whole idea of a compass. and the students will do 4 units. The first 2 are really grounding themselves in the culture of high school and grounding themselves in what their visions are for the future. So we'll do all of those study skills, all of those getting to know themselves, getting to know the school that Erin was talking about, getting to do goal setting and career exploration with Shelley Anderson, and also the A through G requirements and 6-year plans with counselors. And then really the second part of the course is going to be grounding. I think of it more of as grounding who they are and their identity, both within themselves, using that cultural wealth model that Maggie mentioned earlier, and then really thinking about themselves in the larger context of community, through the frameworks of intersectionality, so race, gender, ethnicity, sexuality, those kind of concepts, which will be the bridge between Freshman Compass and getting them prepared for the Ethnic Studies course and the work that they'll be doing in that course. And as part of that community portion of the course, we'll do things around digital citizenship as well, and talking about who they are and how they need to be in the world to be good citizens within the world. And that's about, I think that covers it.
Yeah, perfect. So if the board has any questions or any suggestions about, these are 2 separate agenda items because they're 2 separate courses. This is agenda item D and E. So any comments or questions for myself, Ms. Josens-Kerr, or teachers?
I just wanted to say what a joy it was to read these course descriptions. I just was so excited and happy, and just really felt like, sometimes we talk about larger ideas, but I always enjoy that process of being like, what does this actually drill down to? What do we read? What do we talk about? What do we learn? What are the major questions that are going to be happening in class? And it was just really, really cool to see what you've done in both cases, and especially with ethnic studies. I just thought, well, I'd like to take that class myself. So thank you so much. And it's really great to hear from you personally tonight. So thank you.
I'll just ask a sort of a technical question. It'll be one semester of one topic, another semester of the other, ethnic studies and freshman compass. Will there be any sort of flip-flopping, or is it sort of all the kids are in one thing together and then they all swap over the next semester? Or
I think the vision that Erin shared and that I think we also share is that it will be one teacher teaching both semesters of the same course and the same core group of students, engaging in this work as a classroom community throughout the school year. And so Freshman Compass provides the foundation for what the work they will do in ethnic studies will be. And there's a little bit of a bridge there.
Yep. Yeah, so same teacher. It wouldn't be that a student would take ethnic studies in the first semester and then take it not flip-flopping. It would be concurrent. Freshman Compass will be majority of the first semester, but like I said, there'd be a bit of weaving, but they're written as semester courses, partly for earning credits and getting UC approval and whatnot, but in essence, a year-long course.
Thank you for that clarification. And I have to say, it's very inspiring, your presentation and also the teachers that spoke on the last topic, to see your enthusiasm for this and your belief in this. So that makes it even more exciting and powerful, really. So thank you.
I have a question, not about the ethnic studies course, more about the ethnic studies club. You mentioned that it's from 3:30 to 5:30. Does this impede at all, like, any students from participating who are working or doing sport, or are they meeting during lunch too?
Oh, the 3:30 to 5:30 is the teachers doing the institute.
Oh, okay. So the students are meeting during lunch.
Lunch, other times. Yeah, it's a pretty active club.
Awesome.
Wednesdays at lunch. Different projects going on, kind of like all the time. I thought about bringing a few students tonight, but I wasn't sure how to manage that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they're very active every Wednesday at lunch.
Awesome. And then my follow-up question about the course was related to the term Latino, Latina, Latinx, Latine. I just wanted to suggest maybe at the beginning when you do hit this unit talking about identity and what they identify, because we use Latinx, but in reality the X stems from English, right? And Latin A, that A is the term we use. So I just pointing it out, and I'm sure they're having these conversations. Like,
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Trustee Lopez. Actually, the author standing in front of you did use Latino, Latina throughout the course. It was suggested by Carlos and Curtis to change it to Latinx. So I think Thomas is highly aware and did write into the course, and we got a little superseded by our experts and advised us to use Latinx. So I'm glad you brought it up, because those are the conversations, right, that we need to have.
Totally.
Why are we changing it? And I have full faith that whoever teaches this course will address that. But thank you for bringing that into this room tonight.
And then my final comment was around the suggested readings, and I just have to say these were incredible authors, incredible essays, incredible books. I just wanted to point that out too.
Thank you. And I also just want to say thank you for bringing that up. Sharon and I talked, Carlos and I communicated. We considered for a while what to do. So thank you for.
Thank you, Mr. Worf. Thank you, Ms. Pollack.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we're moving on to 11.1F. Healdsburg High School new courses for 2022-2023. This is also a discussion item.
Yes, thank you. So we have 4 new course descriptions in this category under F that are going to be presented to you. Our first one, I know there's 3 different teachers that are here, but our first one is Audio Production 1 and Audio Production 2. And I have to say, I'm just excited through reading the course description with the cross-curricular that's going to happen with Mr. Natelli, which is really exciting. And I really look forward to working with Mr. Chevalier and recruiting and getting students in these courses, because with the tech and where things are going with young adults, it's very needed out there. So without further ado, Mr. Chevalier, can you please come up and speak on behalf of your courses?
Thank you, and hello, everybody.
Hello.
It's been a while since I've been here. Okay, so the original, let me just tell you how this whole thing started. You put me in this brand new classroom. We're doing video production. We have a full-on recording studio capabilities. It was wired that way from the beginning. There's a whole story that goes with that I won't go into. But we have the facilities. My personal expertise in audio probably supersedes my expertise in video. So I started thinking about it. One thing just led to another. Started having some discussions and put the course together. It does several things. I really believe that it'll be a popular course, that we can run 2 sections of it. The beautiful thing is first year, obviously, it would just be Audio 1. Second year, Audio 1 and Audio 2 can run in the same classroom at the same time, with mentorships and different things, just building on each other. So that was an advantage. The second thing is that right now we have digital filmmaking and we have advanced video production. This allows students who want to stay in this tech area to stay in this in the classroom for 4 years, getting credit each year. I have students who retake my classes right now, but they don't get credit for the second time because they want to grow and they want to learn the curriculum. I teach right now probably 6 to 8 weeks of audio in the video production curriculum. Although I'm telling my students all the time, bad audio kills good video every time. So it's a really important thing. In talking with John Natelli, we want at least one of the classes to run concurrent with Rock Band, so that our goal was to first semester kind of skill building. Second semester, we put a live sound system over in his room that we've already have together. Live sound system in his room. Part of my class goes over there, works with him, does live sound. But then we have the musicians coming over into our studio, being on the other side of the glass. So we're recording and layering, and the kids get to learn all of that and put it together. So it's been an exciting process, especially, look, you guys have known me for a long time. I'm not a curriculum writer. I'm not a course outline writer. So I got to give Derek Corsino some props here for helping me through this process, because I was dissecting things and putting things together and change some stuff, but really kind of excited, to kind of like take this next step and give these kids a little bit more hands-on, and I think that's it.
Super exciting. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, any questions or input from the board about audio production 1 and 2?
I think it sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was reading it and I just think it sounds amazing. And as a person who loves audiobooks and podcasts, and my kids love audiobooks and podcasts, and they're musicians, this is so interesting and so applicable to all of the things that people are doing from home even. And I just think it's really forward looking and awesome.
Thank you, and you're absolutely right. It's just there's so many applications now.
So great that we're offering that to our students. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you for considering it, and,
Yeah. Great.
allowing me to do this.
Can't wait.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right, our next course, I just have to say how grateful and thankful I am in seeing at Healdsburg High School, courses and things are changed and done based on students' need. And this course is coming forward with Mr. Ojeda Jones. He wrote this course description for students that to prepare them to build those skills to get to that high level. So I'm very proud of that. He put a lot of time and energy into this course description, and I'd like to welcome up Mr. Ojeda Jones.
So as Mr. Ojeda Jones comes up to the podium, a little bit of background just to make sure, particularly with new trustees. So last year we ceased to offer advanced standing for 9th graders. So we have heterogeneously scheduled 9th graders. As part of that transition, we wanted to begin to offer 10th grade honors the following year. And so Mr. Ojeda Jones has taught 10th graders for a long time. Veteran teacher. He teaches every single 10th grader we have on the campus, is teaching advanced standing this year. And I think, I don't want to speak too much for you. I'm going to let you speak for yourself, but I think we're both excited to turn an advanced standing course into a true honors course. This will be forwarded once approved here to the UC for honors designation. So our kids rightfully get that honors designation on their transcripts and are fully prepared for the advanced coursework. So, Mr. Ojeda Jones, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Board of Trustees, for taking the time to listen and to look through the course. I appreciate it. English Honors 10 will give all sophomore students the chance to take a class that will not only prepare them for rigorous junior and senior AP, but also encourages them to think critically and openly about their world as they ponder the essential question: how do our intersecting identities shape our perspective and the way we experience the world? Many of the texts studied in the course focus on questions of equity, identity, and justice in the modern high school classroom and society. So I'm excited. It's sort of a mixture of, you have more classic literature, so some newer novels that speak more in the voice of the students of their generation. So I'm excited to give them the opportunity to get full credit in an honors manner. So to bring it before you. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? From
No, I was just going to say, this just totally makes sense, right? To have it actually be recognized as an honors class and structured that way. And I love that you're folding in an ethnic studies layer into this that just echoes everything we're talking about tonight. So fantastic.
I second that, and thank you very much.
Yes,
Thank you.
All right. I think you're good to go, Mr. Ojeda Jones. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're dismissed.
And while we're transitioning, I'll also say this is not the first time tonight I've heard that this is in response to students' requests and the ethnic studies class, et cetera, and that those requests inspired teachers to jump in and be proactive and take a lead. So thank you for that, for everybody.
All right, I promise for tonight, this is our last course. A lot of high school going on here. Again, really proud of this course that's coming through. We have a group of newcomers that are with us, and they're amazing and wonderful. And I cannot be more proud of our staff and just rallying together to figure out anything and everything that we can do for these students academically, socially, and emotionally for them. And with that said, we have a new course description that's being presented to you to support these amazing students. And I would like to invite up the head of the math department, Jamie Atwood.
So a little bit of context as Ms. Atwood comes to the podium. We have a larger group than normal of newcomers. In the high school, we'd have 1 or 2 generally. So these are recent immigrants that have very little English at all, let alone academic English proficiency. We have 5 this year at the high school level. So yes, props to all of our teachers, but specifically math, right? As we've transitioned our ELD program to make sure that all students have access to all core subjects, math, science, throughout their entire voyage, that we don't wait to teach the content, that we'll simultaneously teach academic English and the content. Our math department got busy, rolled up their sleeves and said, all right, how do we best serve these kiddos that have had interrupted school, that are recent immigrants, have had challenges that none of us would ever dream of. And I just want to thank the department in general, under Ms. Atwood's leadership and the teacher who's teaching. I think Ms. Atwood will talk a little bit about this, but yeah, in direct response to best serving our kids and making sure that they get access to the core from day one.
Thank you, Erin, and thank you all to hear about this course. This is definitely one of those cases where the course, in August, we never thought about this course. This is a case where this course had to come to be to serve our students' needs. We had these newcomers come to us. We've had students who were English language learners before. We knew how to handle that. These, and they happened to be young men this time, came to us and they've had gaps in their education. And we're working with them. You know, our first math class at the high school is Integrated Math 1, which, if you want to translate that, it's Algebra 1 and Geometry, a little of both. And we've changed from a teacher-centric model to a student-centric model. And so we get these students and we sit them down and realize that they don't have English. And on top of that, their math skills are severely lacking. The teacher of the course, Mr. Parnay, went to Ms. Jones-Kerr and went to Ms. Fender and said, we have a problem with, not with these boys, but within educating these people because we were missing too much. So we sat down and had a meeting. The meeting started with, how do we modify our course to meet these students' needs? And we realized that the gap was too large. We couldn't modify this course to meet the students' needs, yet we're going to meet these students' needs. And at that point, Mr. Parnay volunteered to give up one of his preps to teach these children. And I don't know if you know, Mr. Parnay earlier in his career taught in Peru. And so he had Spanish language skills. We quickly bought an interactive math program that diagnoses where a student's skills are and then provides each student the lessons that they need to move forward. So now we've got 3 young men in the room with Mr. Parnay and he works with them, one-on-one with these skills. When we started this, they were ready for 3rd grade, and they have completed 3rd grade, and so they're moving so fast. They are so happy. The accomplishment that they see going. Mr. Parnay is studying his Spanish at night to make sure that he uses exactly the right word and doesn't give any miscommunications. And so we're really happy. And I think this is just a course. What can a small high school do? It can be very flexible.
And I will say, another one of the newcomers who did not have interrupted school and came to us with quite a bit of school from his home country is taking pre-calculus with Miss Atwood. So we have everything from kids who are needing to start at the base level of mathematics to a student who is in pre-calc with Miss Atwood as a newcomer.
Yeah, fun fact, I was working with him in Hablo un poquito. I'm trying to work with him, and I could not think of the word factor, and none of my other students seem to use that word around the dinner table. And so we're absolutely stuck. I pick up the phone and call Ms. Diaz. Ms. Diaz. So, and it's been wonderful. He's doing great. So, yeah, we work through.
Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Any comments or questions?
This is brilliant. It's just, meeting the students where they need to be met is brilliant. Can I ask, I know the outcome, the hopeful outcome is to get these students ready for IM1. That can't be happening in a year. I mean, how do you do?
It would be beyond our wildest dreams.
7 grades of math.
But how do you eat an elephant?
Yeah, that's true.
We start, we work, we will get there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
I just want to say that all of these last 4 items, I guess, is the work.
Absolutely.
It's what we're here to do, and we're doing it. And I thank you.
So as I mentioned, this is first reading. So if there's anybody who's been listening tonight or any of the board members that, once you let this kind of marinate a little bit, if you have any questions for myself, Ms. Jones-Kerr, or the teachers, we'd encourage you to ask those questions prior to the next board meeting in December, right? Yeah, in December, where we would like to put these on the consent agenda for approval. That would be the next step.
Thank you. Okay,
And teachers, you're dismissed if you want to go. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, teachers.
You can watch on Facebook Live.
Thank you. Yay. Fabulous. Okay, so we're moving on to reports. Do we have a HEF report? Erin, you're going to be reporting?
Yeah, I have a report on HEF's behalf. They've had a busy week. So this is from Marianne Vanella, a board member. She asked me to read this. So HEF is happy to report that we've just completed a successful Healdsburg Education Week with colorful daily newsletters sent to our mailing list, daily mentions in the Healdsburg Patch, and many participating businesses who made generous donations. The intensive week of contacts lets our community learn more about what's happening at each of our schools, helps us celebrate our hardworking educators and staff, and encourages donors to help us raise funds for our HEF programs. We'll have a dollar amount for you next month. The annual campaign letter will be in mailboxes next week. HEF raises significant funds from this campaign, and we hope this year will be no exception. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a HADA report?
Hi. So it's November, and we're beginning to focus on finals at the junior high level. And for some of our students, especially like the 6th graders, it's their very, very first time. And for some kids, they've missed out on finals for about 2 years.
Would you speak into the microphone, please?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
The elementary teachers are finishing up a long week of conferences. And I've said this before, I'm very proud of the Healdsburg teachers. They have always been awesome, but this year even more so. They have lots of students still entering and exiting their classrooms. They have lots of late work coming in. They have lots of work that they're organizing for kids. And there's a lot of time needed to go over that work that's coming in late. The negotiators had been working on an MOU that is now done. HAD is currently working on some issues with administrations, and I've had meetings this week, and I'm hoping that we're going to come to agreement soon. The teachers, again, would like to focus on just a few things. No more new things. Let us work on what we have. Let us work on it so that we can determine if what we're using is effective for our kids or if we need to find something new. No new programs, no new ideas, no new anything. Just let us work on what we have and determine if it's valuable programs for our kids. Just a reminder that HADA meets with the district once a month to discuss concerns and to learn about the board packet, and the minutes from the leadership will be emailed to you shortly to keep you updated on what we're talking about. Teachers would like to encourage district leadership to effectively communicate and collaborate with all of the stakeholders on critical decisions in a timely manner. Thank you for all of your help and your support. Thank you for supporting our request for needed materials. Thank you for reaching out to ask us questions. And thank you for your leadership.
CSA report.
Okay, I'm going to try to unmute Susie. She is virtual. And so we'll see how this first virtual comment goes. You should be able to talk, Susie.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me? I'm here.
Go ahead, Susie.
All right. Am I there?
You are.
Oh, great. Hi, everybody. Sorry it's been so long since I've come to a meeting. I do live just south of Cloverdale, and it's hard for me to go home and come back. And once I get home, I'd like to stay put. So I'm glad I was able to come on Zoom. Just to say that the teachers have been working really hard, but also classified staff has been working super hard. It's a challenge for all of us. Being down to one nurse, now I'm happy that we have two. We do so much work in the office in the morning dealing with COVID and testing and parents getting angry. And, you know, I had a parent come in today that was upset that his kid, this is the second time he's had to be tested, but, you know, we just have to keep telling them this is the protocol. So most of our morning is spent in the office dealing with COVID before we can get to our regular work. But we are working really hard. We've got some people being promoted. We have some people that have left and we need to fill some spots. But we're hanging in there. And, you know, we do get support from the district office, and it's really nice to feel that we're all working together. But it is it's a lot. It's a lot of work in the office, and I know that everybody at every site is doing the same thing. So, but otherwise, we're good. We'll be meeting on the 29th when we come back. And hopefully we'll have a little bit more to say at the next meeting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you. Okay, Trustee Peterson, do you have a report tonight? Wow, good. Yeah.
Hello, this is a student trustee report. So at Healdsburg High School, the ASB Club is planning for the Rebit Rally, which will be held December 8th and kick off the Rebit Tournament. We also, Healdsburg FFA, just hosted the Fall Family Banquet, where over 20 Green Hands got their Green Hand degrees in person, and over 100 Green Hands got their Green Hand degrees and will be presented with them later. At Healdsburg Junior High, the volleyball and boys basketball both had their first games of the season this week. HJH leadership class is currently conducting a canned food drive. There's a school-wide Spirit Week that will be December 6th through 10th. Several new clubs have started at HGH, and now nearly half of the student body is involved in at least one club. The HJH Art Showcase is coming up on December 10th from 5 to 7 p.m. And at Fitch Mountain, last Friday was the end of the first trimester, and this week they're having parent-teacher conferences. And they were excited to host a vaccine clinic that provided pediatric vaccines to children 5 and older at the FMC last Friday, and 200 individuals were served.
Very nice. Board of Trustees, anybody have a report?
I just have a question for Trustee Peterson. Because you're so organized and you've got so much information, and you have that typed out, it would be great if you gave me a copy, but I think all of us, because I'd like to take notes, but you got so much information. That would be great if you just ran copies.
Or email? No?
Or emails, either way.
Yeah.
Great job, thank you.
Yeah, that was very informative. Thank you. I just want to say thank you to whoever figured out the hybrid model. because this is something we were really adamant about, like, right, that we wanted to continue to have the community be involved, listen or watch the meeting from home, but also be able to comment like they're here. And thank you for whatever technology magic you did. Thank you.
This to me is equity, like having it be streamed and being able to interpret like live on Zoom. This is equity to me. We have an interpreter here too. This is incredible work. I also just wanted to add, I don't know if this is part of the Board of Trustees report, but I was at the vaccine clinic last week. It was incredible. 200 students were vaccinated. I know that HUSD is working on another vaccine clinic, so I'm super excited to get these kiddos vaccinated and able to stay in school for more than 2 weeks before, having to go home and quarantining until tested. So awesome job.
I'd just like to agree with both things that you said. I feel like the availability of this meeting to people who can't be here in person and the ability to participate from home just opens the door for so much participation. And I just think it's really amazing. And it was a lucky, small positive piece of what happened in COVID that we are able to kind of make this meeting both virtual and in person. And so thank you for doing that. And also, I got a booster and our 2 younger children got vaccinated at the vaccine clinic on Friday, along with many, many members of the community. And it was just such a wonderful thing to be able to do that so close to home. And we're really very, very grateful for the organization and ability to do that. So thank you.
Okay, so we will have a 5-minute break. We will be back at 7:35. And for the 2021-2026 fiscal years. Okay, so we are starting public hearing. Do you have any comments? Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. Okay. So we will close the hearing. And moving on to the Educator Effectiveness Block Grant Plan. This is a discussion item.
Hi.
Hello.
So, I'm just making sure I'm organized here. Educator Effectiveness Block Grant. We've had Educator Effectiveness Block Grant funding in the past. There was an original block grant that lasted for 3 years. It ended about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. This is money that has come through Assembly Bill 130 that was passed in July. We're in a little bit of a hurry up because we didn't really find out that it was really truly coming through, as Araceli knows from her other hat, Trustee Romo Flores. So we did a hub. You can see there are 10 different categories for allowable use. We have done our best in a quick fashion here to put together a plan. We surveyed the teachers. It was quick. Got a decent response. Honestly, what you see here are plans that are in the LCAP, that are in our school plans. This is nothing, to Robin Doherty's point, we hear about not new, right? We got plenty on our plates. So we will continue, we put big money, $30,000 into continuing to support our new teachers and administrators. $150,000 of the $400,000 I should have started with. Our district will get $400,000 to be spent over the next 4.5 years. So we do have time. We don't need to rush spending this. Here and there, things will come through in the next year, but most of these funds will be spent in the next 3 school years going out. We're not in a rush to spend these dollars, but as I was saying, $150,000 to support the standards aligned instruction in the subject areas. I want to make mention that we hear that teachers need time.
through staff release. When subs become a thing, we're providing extra duty where there's bandwidth for that, right? I can pay folks, but sometimes that doesn't mean that like you can do it, right? That your kids are taken care of and you can actually put in the time. Possibly additional PD days, work days, and that's subject to collective bargaining, and we'll be sitting down with the union to negotiate all of that. So we did want to put a significant chunk of change into doing the work to continue the standards aligned instruction. And going on, we've been working on becoming more of a trauma informed school district, so $10,000 there. In category 5 in the plan, $70,000 to get better at the multi-tiered system of support. This is something that we have tiers of support, but formalizing it, collecting data, progress monitoring, having it be everybody's on the same page, from us at the district office to the principals, the staff, and the families. We need to have a more formal process, and so that's a good chunk of change there. The next is number 7. This is the work around supporting our English language learners. As we all know, it's a very important topic that we continue to do better and grow. So putting money towards our English language development program. Number 9, there you see, continue to work with Acosta Educational Partnership. And as I mentioned earlier, Corazon is handling a contract with Acosta Educational Partnership, but the teachers who are there are eligible for extra duty, so being paid hourly to work past their contractual hours. So there is some cost to the district, and as ethnic studies lifts, we want to get more things going, probably more listening campaigns, more working with the community, working with our families. So we want to make sure that we've got some funds set aside for that. And then lastly, we have lots of preschoolers, and we're going to get better at serving 4-year-olds. So universal TK. And so we have a preschool at Fitch Mountain. Diane and I and our partners at North Bay Children's Center talking about a full inclusion model for preschool. And what that means is that instead of students being served at a non-public or a preschool that is not part of our district, that students who have severe needs or learning disabilities might be served within the district. So that's what we mean by full inclusion. So preschoolers who will have an IEP eventually. They don't have an IEP as preschoolers necessarily. They may. So training for elementary staff as we get better at serving younger kids and serving more diverse kids and who are 3, 4 years old. So subject to change. We needed to bring something forward. Like I said, I feel good. We combed the LCAP, got input from the principals as they are finishing their school plans. Little bit of input from teachers through the survey, and I realized, it's a crazy time of year. If I was a teacher and I got a survey, I'd be like, delete, maybe. It's just a lot going on. So this is a preliminary plan. As we learn more and as we grow, I anticipate that things will change, and that is allowable under the statutes. I think there's an understanding here that we don't want to rush into spending this money, but we did need to bring forward a plan. So that's what you have in front of you tonight.
Quick question.
Questions or input?
Is on the last page you have like dates and plans for next year and the year after, and will this change any of what's happening this year, or is this already folded into what's happening this year?
Yeah, it probably won't change a whole lot this year. We were running, I'll be honest, really running low on professional development funds, and part of that is with all of the Title II. So most of what we pay for professional development comes from our titles funds. That titles money has decreased over the number of years. Part of it's because we have fewer teachers in the district. Part of it is just federal spending trends. So it's giving us a little bit of wiggle room. For example, the California School Libraries Association does a great conference every year. And this lightens the load if we have folks who want to attend a conference here or there where it was getting a little tight, right? And I was like, how many people are going to go to the conference? So we'll see little things this year, but not big dollars this year. Yeah, more like conferences and little I need another day to write my course outline. Can I get a sub to work on that kind of stuff? Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But no major agreements, contracts, stuff like that. No. All right, that's all I've got for that one. Thank you.
Nope, this is discussion. Okay, moving on to 11.2. This is the public hearing for the Healdsburg Area Teacher Association contract reopeners for 2021-2022. This is a public hearing. Open the hearing. And we do have a public comment from Stephanie Fife, HADA Chief Negotiator and FMC teacher. Good evening. Yes. So Stephanie, they're saying that the volume is too low and also I think your time is about up, the 3 minutes, so if you could wrap it up, please, thank you. Thank you. And Healdsburg Area Teacher Association contract reopeners. Franny?
So before you, now it works. It's louder, I think. Oh well. On behalf of the district, I'm just presenting to you in the packet. There is the reopener sunshine letter from the HADA bargaining unit. And Stephanie just spoke to a lot of the good points in that letter.
I move that we approve the HADA contract reopeners.
Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. Okay, moving on to public hearing for Healdsburg Unified School District contract reopeners for 2021, 2022. Do you have any public comment for this one? Okay, so starting it and no public comment? Okay, closing. All right, Healdsburg Unified School District contract reopeners.
All right, and so this item is the reopeners from the district team. And as with HADA, we also would like to negotiate and close on a 3-year agreement and contract. And there are a number of the articles that we would like to have discussion and come to agreement on some items, a few of which are carried forward from last year's negotiations as well. And HADA has, a lot of these are shared interests, I would say, between the parties that were, especially the ones that were carried forward and trying to wrap up those discussions and come to an agreement.
Okay, thank you, Franny. Do we have a motion to approve?
I move to approve the acceptance of the school district contract reopeners.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Franny. Next, 11.3 school business, 11.3A COVID-19 relief funding. This is a report from Debbie.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am here to share with you the COVID spending so far, up to date. The first slide here is a pretty full spreadsheet, but this shows you all the different funding sources we have right now. The first column is showing you the timeline, different resource codes. This is both state and federal funding. The allocation is how much we have coming to us, which we'll be receiving. We received some last year. We'll receive it throughout this year. We'll still be receiving the funds next year. The expenditures to date is $1.8 million. Encumbrances changes every day. At the time I did the report, it was at $837,000. And we have a balance right now of $2.6 million of COVID funds.
We have a question. Are any of these one-time money?
They're all one-time money.
All of them are? Okay.
And they all have different timelines, as you can see there. A couple of them we've already expired. Learning loss mitigation was May 31st. And then the state funding for learning loss mitigation was June 30th. So those resources are already expended. So here's a breakdown of where the funds have gone. This is the in-person instruction grant, which we started using right away last year when children started returning to school. As you can see, most of the funding in this category has been going to staffing. And we have till 2024 to expend all these funds.
And that's the full amount.
That's the full amount.
It's not, okay.
Could
the
we go
allocation
back?
is the 500,000, and the balance right now is 182,000.
Could we go back one slide?
Sure.
So I can understand. I'm looking at maybe I'm looking at the wrong one. Oh, never mind. I looked at the wrong column. Sorry.
Okay.
My eyeballs.
And then also to note, in the column that says encumbered, that is what's encumbered today. That doesn't account for anything that you've approved in a plan that we will be encumbering, although it's already accounted for where we're going to spend the dollars, but it's not encumbered yet. Does that make sense?
So in other words, these are things we've already approved or are in the midst of, but the money isn't quite spent.
These are payroll checks happening now.
Encumbered.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But
So,
we might have already said in the plan that we are going to fund
Mental health for next year. So the 2 mental health counselors, right? To keep
Included in
for
that.
next year.
Is encumbered at this
No.
No. Because those salary checks haven't been cut.
Ah, gotcha. Oh, so encumbered really means the checks are underway.
Correct.
So it's like a slice in time.
Correct.
Okay. Gotcha.
So the 2.6 might include things that have already clearly been appointed to some use, like the mental health counselors.
Yes.
And
yes, most definitely. And you'll see as we move forward.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So this was the ELO grant that came with 2 different resources. We spent a good amount of that on summer school last year. You could see there, that's where the staffing for the mental health counselors is. That's for this year only. So the expense, the encumbered, the 247 is for this year only. That doesn't account for anything moving forward. This was split into 2 different resources. The bottom one being that we were supposed to use 10% for paraprofessionals. So that is set aside just for paras. And we have till 2024 to use these funds as well. So, for example, this was the ELO grant that you approved in May. So anything being expended here was something you've already approved.
Is Healdsburg getting the Expanded Learning Opportunity Program money? Which is
yeah.
We intend to, yeah.
This was this was actually another part of ELO. This is ESSER 2 and GEAR 2. This was part of the grant that you approved as well. And all of these funds are going towards the intervention at FMC. That's a 1-year funding as well. ESSER 3 for the ELO. We haven't touched this yet, but the funds are earmarked. Learning loss mitigation, staffing, technology. This was one of the first funding sources that came in. A lot of the technology for Chromebooks, for distance learning, hotspots. This is where a lot of this expense was. And PPE supplies as well. All these funds have been fully expended. This was learning loss gear, the smaller pot of 83,000, technology, staffing. That one actually expires in 2022, so we'll be using up the remainder of this shortly here. Resource 7420, fully expent. This was distance learning teacher, extra classified for last year, PPE supplies, technology. This was all spent last year. ESSER 1, PPE supplies, staffing. As you can see, there's a pattern moving forward. Oh, I did want to mention on the student activities there, the 38,000. That was COVID dollars that we put towards the different classes at the high school and ASB to give them a start, because we wanted to get events going when the kids came back to school last year, and none of the classes had any funds because there had been no fundraising for so long. So I thought that was a nice contribution.
Yeah, that's great.
Going directly to the students. ESSER 2 funds is mostly staffing.
So, Debbie, there's a lot of money on each of these tables going to staffing.
Right. I'm gonna show you at the end here as we move forward, and that's what I'm trying to point out to you, that I want everybody to be quite aware of that. ESSER 3 is dollars that we'll be spending in the next couple years coming up, but we have touched this so far. And this was also a plan that you've already approved. These were dollars that came in for special education. This is going to classified support in the special ed office. So the key notes: we've been awarded over $5 million. We've expended or encumbered $2.5 million to date. The funds are available up to 2024. All of COVID funding is one time. We've spent over $1.4 million is currently being spent on staffing this year.
That's a lot.
So it's something for everybody to be aware of, that it's one-time dollars, and to sustain the staffing that we have is not going to be possible without the COVID dollars.
It would be good to see a breakdown of classroom teachers versus support staff. Not tonight, but at some point.
Of where the dollars are going?
Yes.
When you look at these tables, when it says certificated, classified,
but yeah.
that's pretty much.
So staffing, again, classroom teachers, roughly how many FTE?
I don't have that off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
I know at the high school I'm pretty sure it's 2.5. So we have it, and principals are super aware. And part of it is the extra sections at the high school, right? We have an extra science section, an extra Spanish section. We have 2 of the learning center classes. So it's
the pre-math class.
I don't know. Are we using ESSER fund? I don't think we're using COVID dollars for that.
what?
It's the newcomers math class.
Yeah.
So it's where kids failed, right? And we need to create extra sections or extra support, particularly at the high school. At the elementary, we talked at one point about our very low class size, right? In other districts that were ADA, you wouldn't have class sizes necessarily as low. You'd be cutting staff. So having small class sizes is part of it. So there's additional elementary teachers that if we were just doing an ADA formula, those class sizes wouldn't be as small and there would be teacher layoffs.
And the reason I ask is, and you're pointing this out clearly, when we get to the end of the year, when we have to make decisions about that, I will speak for myself. I like to see the current staffing held.
I have it on my desk every day with a lot of marks on it. I just don't want to say numbers that I don't have in front of me.
Erin, do you know how many mental health professionals we have currently?
So the 2 additional that are, we have 2 additional for this that are COVID funded only. One that serves the junior high and high school, Marta Posada, and then we have another who is serving the 2 elementary campuses. In addition to that, we have 2 full-time school psychologists. Again, just to give it into perspective, the normal staffing ratio for a district our size would generally be 1. We have 2. In addition, we have a full-time behavior specialist. That is an unusual full-time position, particularly in a district our size. Generally, the school psychologist would handle the behavior plans and all of what. So we have a full-time behavior specialist. Diane could speak more to all of this. We have the 2 high school counselors.
Is the behavior specialist funded by COVID dollars or?
No, that's been a staff position. Yeah. The only 2 that are being funded, the only mental health and support counseling are the 2 new mental health, kind of crisis counselors. And then we got the 2 high school counselors, again, a high school of 540, and I'm not saying this is the way we should do it, but in a non-basic aid school district, you'd have 1, right? You'd have a counselor ratio of about 500 to 600 kids per, we have 2. We have a full-time counselor at the junior high for 300 students. And those are staff positions. Those are not part of COVID. The 2 additional mental health counselors is the added to help us handle the increase in trauma and situations that our kids and families are dealing with.
Awesome. And then the 2 psych and behavioral, those are district-wide, I'm assuming? Okay.
One of the psychs focuses on secondary and one of the psychs tends to focus on elementary, but they support each other depending on what the caseloads are doing. Or one of our school psychologists is bilingual. So if we need a bilingual assessment, we have a staff person who can do a bilingual assessment. We don't have to contract out for that, which many other districts do.
Any other questions?
Okay, all right, so this is
Yes, very helpful.
a report. So thank you, Debbie.
You're welcome.
Now we're going to the annual organizational meeting.
This is a standard item that we bring to the board every year. It's a formality that we have to declare that December 15th will be our organizational meeting. Well, that's our regular meeting date that we have set, but it has to be between December 3rd and 17th this year. So we just need approval that December 15th will be our organizational meeting.
I make a motion that December 15th be our annual organizational meeting.
And I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 11.3C, Healdsburg Unified School District 2022 Board Meeting Calendar.
This is a first reading of the board meeting calendar for 2022. There is one date that we're looking at right now that could possibly change, and that would be the September board meeting. I'm waiting for an answer from SCO. Karen will be letting you guys know moving forward.
Say that again, Debbie. I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
The September 21st meeting could possibly move to September 14th.
Okay.
Is there a reason for that?
The unaudited actuals. The deadline is September 15th, and I'm just waiting to hear if they're going to move the date forward since that date falls in the second week next year.
Okay. Any questions, comments?
Okay. Do it again. I'll move to approve the.
No, but it's
board-
just a discussion.
Oh,
item.
I'm sorry.
All right, thank you so much. And next we go to the revised classified salary schedules for 2021-2022. This is an action item.
This is, before you have the revised classified salary schedule for 21-22. This reflects the 1% increase for a total of 8.5% increase for 21-22 for all classified employees.
Okay, so this is an action item. Do we have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Crystal and Mike seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. The revised management salary schedules for 2021-2022. Again, this is an action item.
And this is, we're doing the management one, you said?
Yes.
This is the revised management schedules for both certificated and classified staff. And the...
No, this is certificated. This is the certificated salary. Should be.
Okay.
Oh,
This is the certificated salary schedules.
That was my fault. So sorry. That was me. My apologies.
All of these schedules reflect the 1% increase as well, with a total of 8.5% for the 21-22 year. And I just wanted to note on the cover sheet where it says attachments, I'm still showing the 188 days plus 2 days. And then when you look at the salary schedule, we'll show 190. Just to make sure that it's noted there that those 2 days were additional for 21-22 only.
Only.
Okay.
So this is an action.
Do you have a motion to approve? I motion to approve. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, now we're on F, sorry. Revised management salary schedules for 2021-2022.
Okay, and this is the same 1% for certificated management, classified management, and confidential to reflect 8.5% as well.
Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to disposal of surplus property, resolution number 22-08. This is an action item.
This is for approval for disposal of surplus property. This is 3 very old buses that have been sitting in the bus yard for a long time. And we finally got them dismantled and are ready to declare them surplus.
Food truck.
No, they don't run.
Stationary food truck. Stationary living.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But
very cool.
I'll motion to approve.
And these are buses that have been replaced with the green buses.
What happens, I'll second, what happens to these buses?
You know, they went to creams towing, and they take them and they dismantle them.
Oh, they literally take them apart.
They literally take them
parts.
apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
They don't go to Burning Man?
No.
I needed that.
All right, so we did have a motion and we had a second. Oh, that's true. Aye.
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 Okay, so now we're moving on to review emergency circumstances, Assembly Bill 361. And we're allowing for additional 30 days for remote/hybrid meetings. Okay,
So moved.
Second.
all in favor? Aye. Okay, great. Do the Board of Trustees have reports or comments, requests for information?
I will say I will not be attending the December 15th meeting, so don't assign me any like bad things at the reorganization. Exactly. No, I'm leaving. That's the day we leave town, so I won't be here. Just letting you guys know.
Thank you.
Sadly, because it's always a good meeting.
Okay. Oh,
so we don't have a date?
yeah, we do. Monday, the 22nd? What is it's the 22nd, right? The
Oh,
Monday is
Army.
the
Yeah,
special?
thank you. I thought it was the ELD.
So we will be having a special board meeting on the 22nd of November. Yeah, it will be a closed session. For personnel. Yes, for personnel. Yes, 3 o'clock. Yes.
Amazing, right?
Okay. We don't need to reconvene for closed session or recess to closed session. So our next regular board meeting will be December 15th here. And thank you everyone for being here. Meeting adjourned. Okay. Yes, future president.